Hi, VencoreWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Thursday, January 26th. Another mild day here in the Mid-Atlantic region. However, changes are coming. A cold frontal system is working its way through the Mid-Atlantic region right now. The winds will pick up noticeably during the midday and afternoon hours. There are a few showers around this morning. They'll clear away by the midday and early afternoon. And some sunshine should return this afternoon, but the winds will pick up. And that'll be a sign of some colder air moving in. We turn colder tonight and a chillier day on Friday. Then a second cold frontal system works its way through the region later in the weekend, and temperatures go down another notch as we begin the early part of next week. A couple of weeks ago, we posted a blog about a January thaw period coming, and then that would likely be followed by a more sustained cold period. And indeed, the January thaw period has taken place, and it looks like it is about to come to an end. One of the catalysts for a change back to colder weather is a stratospheric warming event that is underway right now. We'll kind of focus in on that over the next several minutes. This is a map of temperature anomalies from weatherbell.com for the past 2 weeks, and indeed a definite January thaw period, not only here in the eastern U.S., but across much of Canada as well. In fact, the colder than normal conditions confined to the western U.S. By the way, they're having some tremendous snowfall amounts out in the western part of the country this winter. Mammoth Mountain in California has now had more snow this month, the month of January, than any other month in recorded history. More than 20 feet. They've just been taking Pacific Storm, a pounding from Pacific Storm after Pacific Storm, and Sierra Nevadas have had just tremendous amounts of snow, and of course heavy rainfall closer to the coast in California, alleviating or even ending the drought of the past few years. So again, a January thaw period. This is for the last couple of weeks, about to come to an end. A colder weather pattern setting up over the next few days, and that'll take us right into the heart of February with seasonable cold or colder than normal conditions on average, again, as we progress into the month of February. Well, one of the catalysts for a change in the overall weather pattern over the next few days is a stratospheric warming event that is taking place right now. This happens certainly every winter or every other winter. We have some kind of a stratospheric warming event. Basically, it boils down to the typical condition is to have a polar vortex sitting near the North Pole this time of the year. In the upper part of the atmosphere, lower pressure and low temperatures typically reside right around the polar region. However, there are cases where there's a sudden rise in stratospheric temperatures. That polar vortex is displaced in location or split into two, and that sets off a chain of events that can lead to cold air outbreaks into the other side of the pole, into places like Europe or Asia, or sometimes on our side of the pole into the northern and eastern U.S. And indeed, it looks like this ongoing stratospheric warming event will help to change the overall weather pattern from the January thaw of the past couple of weeks to a colder pattern for the next few weeks. This is a map, a loop actually, of the last 30 days of the temperatures in the highest part of the atmosphere, the stratosphere, around 10 millibars. And first of all, notice here, as the latitudes go up, this is 30 degrees north, 60, and then 90, the polar region. So we have had some stratospheric warming noted here or indicated here by the orange blobs ongoing over the past couple of weeks. And again, we'll focus in on the North Pole in a moment here, but this whole stratospheric warming event going on right now in the northern hemisphere and has been occurring, has been going on for the last week or two, will contribute to a change in the overall weather pattern from our January thaw to a more seasonal cold or even colder than normal as we go into February. Well, here's a look at the temperatures in the stratosphere around 10 millibars, centered right on the North Pole, which is right in this region, right in here. And this polar vortex, again, typically resides a little bit closer to the pole or over the pole, but stratospheric warming, which is indicated here by this orange blob, basically this is a warm blob. Now, this is relatively warm. Instead of maybe minus 70 degrees, it's more like minus 30 degrees Celsius. So when I say a stratospheric warming event, it takes it from very cold to less very cold conditions in the upper part of the atmosphere. Nonetheless, this is the way we stand right now, and let's go ahead and look at the forecast for 10 days from now. And here is a forecast map of the stratospheric temperatures. Again, the North Pole right in this region right here. So we go from this currently to this in about 10 days. That polar vortex is displaced or shifts over to the other side of the pole, over the Asian European side of the North Pole. The U.S. is down in this region right here, and all of this will contribute to kind of a step down in the temperature pattern over the next several days. Next few days, normal temperatures return here to the mid-Atlantic region, and then we get a little bit colder than normal, and certainly by the time mid-February rolls around, we'll continue to be colder than normal. Now, in the recent years where we've had a stratospheric warming event such as this, a significant event in the latter part of January, the month of February generally turned out to be colder than normal. So it not only changes the weather pattern on a short-term basis, but it can change it on a longer-term basis, and we could have a whole month of colder than normal temperatures coming in February, based in part to this current stratospheric warming event. Well, in terms of temperatures, let's take a look at the 2-meter temperature anomalies averaged out over 5-day periods from last night's 0Z ensemble run of the GFS model. We'll look at days 1 to 5 right here. Notice orange for the most part across the northeastern U.S., colder than normal out across the western U.S., but here this is again the average from today for the next 5 days. Still relatively normal or a little bit above normal. But then as we progress out, here is the 5 to 9 day outlook. Colder than normal stretches from the mid-Atlantic region all the way into the Midwest and across the northern plains. And then let's go out another 5-day period. This is out days 9 to 13. Again, this is for the from last night's 0Z GFS ensemble run. Finally, let's jump out to the 12 to 16 day outlook right here. Now this is already into almost the middle part of February. This 5-day period here ends February 11th. So we're getting into a colder pattern, and the key point I want to make here is that it looks like it's going to be a rather sustained cold air pattern. Not necessarily historic cold or record-breaking cold, but seasonable to below normal. And it looks like it'll last for several weeks, beginning over the next few days and continuing well into February. This again is the period ending February 11th, and a cold air mass is upstream on its way into the mid-Atlantic region. So it certainly looks like a more sustained period of colder weather is coming to the mid-Atlantic region. Again, helped along in part by this significant stratospheric warming event. Well, let's take a look at the real short term here. We have a cold frontal system pushing through the I-95 corridor right now. This is from last night's 0Z GFS model run, the forecast map for right about now, early this morning. A definite indication of a frontal system right here, right on top of the region right now. There are a few showers around. Certainly the morning looks like mostly cloudy with a few showers likely in Philadelphia, New York City, D.C. metro region, mostly on the light side. And then by later this afternoon, the sky should start to clear and the winds will pick up noticeably. Winds should gust to 30 to 35 miles per hour this afternoon. Still relatively mild temperatures this afternoon, holding at 50 to 54 degrees or so up and down the I-95 corridor. But it'll feel cooler because of the strong winds that will develop behind the passage of this frontal system. Now here's the forecast map for tonight. That frontal system is well off the east coast by this time. Notice this tight pressure gradient pattern behind this frontal system. One of the noticeable things over not only this afternoon, but really over the next several days will be the wind. All these frontal systems coming through, and we'll have a lot of wind over the next several days. Northwest variety, and that'll produce a Great Lakes snow event. All this green here will be in the form of snow across the Great Lakes region. Could even be a snow shower that works its way south and east of the mountains into the I-95 corridor over the next few days. A step down in temperatures between today and tomorrow, And then by the latter part of the weekend, another cold frontal system works its way through, and we step down again in temperatures from Sunday to Monday. So by Monday, high temperatures will be confined to the 30s up and down the I-95 corridor. And again, that change to a colder weather pattern looks like it'll be rather sustained going well into the month of February here in the northeastern U.S., all set off by a stratospheric warming event. That's it for now. For VencoreWeather.com, I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.